Isolation status of 5 police divisions in Colombo and Gampaha to be lifted at 5 a.m. tomorrow.
පිටකොටුව පොලිස් බල ප්‍රදේශය හෙට උදෑසන 5 සිට හුදෙකලා බවින් ඉවත් වුණත් පිටකොටුවේ සුපුරුදු මැනින් මාකට් එක ඒ වගේම 4 වෙනි සහ 5 වෙනි හරස් වීදිය ක්‍රියාත්මක වීමට අවකාශ ලැබෙන්නේ නැහැ.
Schools in Dambulla to close down for 5 days. Shooting at the Mahara prison. Suspect arrested for the murder of a police constable in Kobegane. Justice delayed to a police officer assaulted at the same location in 2006. Presidential task force appointed to probe issues in developing sand and stone mining.
A very good evening to all our viewers and welcome to this Sunday's edition of Primetime News, coming to you live from our news studios in Colombo. I'm Lanka. Let's take a look at the stories in detail now. Today is Full Moon Poe Day. According to Buddhist history, many significant events took place on a day like today.
It was on an Poe Day that the first Buddhist missionary activity commenced by 60 Arahats, while the 3 Jatila brothers also entered the Buddhist order on a day such as today. The passing away of one of Lord Buddha's chief disciples, Sariputta, and the announcement of the future Buddhahood of Maitri Bodhisattva also occurred on Poe Day. This is the last Poya of the Vassana rainy season. With the end of the Poya, the Katinapin should also end. Multiple religious activities took place island-wide today in keeping with health guidelines. Religious activities were conducted at the Temple of the Tooth Relic in Kandy. Religious activities and observances were held at the Ruwanwali Saya in Anuradhapura, while devotees gathered at the Galvihar in Polonnaruwa to engage in religious observances. The religious activities, which are organized by the Capital Maharaja Group at the Shafkamalake in Braybrook Place, were held today as well. Viharadhikari of the Hunupitiya Gangarama Temple, Venerable Dr. Kirinde Asajithera, conducted the religious observances at the Sakya Malakya. The event was sponsored by Monochrome Private Limited, a subsidiary of the Capital Maharaja Group. Group Director Anil De Silva and General Manager of Monochrome Private Limited, Ayamali Vedanda, were also present at the event along with other employees.
A presidential task force has been appointed to look into the utilization of resources necessary for development such as stones, sand and soil. Chairman of the newly appointed task force, Secretary to the Ministry of State Administration, J.J. Ratnasiri, said that the aim of the task force is to expedite the development process of the country.
The task force aims to gazette locations with an archaeological value that are enriched with natural resources as forest reserves. Chairman of the task force, J.J. Ratnasiri, said that 23 districts have been identified as areas enriched with natural resources and that 10% of it has been consumed. A report compiled by the task force will be presented before President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. The task force comprises of 18 more officials along with its chairman, J.J. Ratnasiri.
A police constable who was conducting a raid in Hathavala, Kobegane in Kurunegala, was killed after being hit by a tipper truck. The suspected driver of the tipper was arrested this afternoon. The murdered police constable was a 32-year-old father of 2.
5 police officers were dispatched to Hathalava to raid an illegal sand mining operation after the OIC of the Kobegane police was tipped off at about 12 last night. The police media unit said that the deceased police officer had attempted to stop a tipper transporting sand close to the Daduru Oya. The driver of the tipper truck, who had not heeded orders to stop, had run over the police constable. The police constable was seriously injured and died upon admission to the Nikavaratia hospital. The remains of the constable will be handed over to his relatives after the post-mortem examination. The deceased constable, Pradeep Akash, was attached to the intelligence unit of the Kobegane police. The tipper truck that ran over the police constable was found abandoned along the Kuliapitiya Hettipola road in Karantitpala.
ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨාධිකරණය මගින්
A few years ago, the Supreme Court had ordered the police to stop the environmental degradation along the Daduroya caused by sand miners and to conduct raids in the area. Thereby, police stations in the vicinity of Daduroya conducted raids in these areas constantly. This was a similar raid. One of the suspects driving the tipper truck had run over the police constable and murdered him. This incident is extremely regrettable. The final rites of the police constable will be conducted in Rasnayakapura with full police honours.
පූර්ණ පොලිස් ගෞරවාචාර සහිතව ඔහුගේ අවසාන කටයුතු සිදු කිරීමට නියමිතව තිබෙනවා.
The OIC of the Rasnayakapura police station, who conducted a raid in the same area on the 30th of March 2006, was also brutally attacked. He was hospitalized for over a month after the assault. According to our correspondent, action has been filed in court against the assault.
I was the OIC of the Rasnayak police station in 2006. The same thing was done at Daduroya even then. One day I conducted a raid based on a tip-off received that sand was being smuggled in Patyadalua. When I arrested the suspects involved, a group of about 50 to 60 sand smugglers surrounded me and brutally assaulted me. They attacked me while I was in uniform. I completely lost sight in my right eye and I broke 11 teeth. They continued to assault me for a long time. They were so brutal in their assault. It is the responsibility of senior police officers to ensure that this police officer is the last police officer that falls victim to these brutal sand smugglers. When this happened to me, no strict action was taken. I woke up only 8 days after the assault. I received treatment for 6 months at the National Hospital and the police hospital. When I regained my consciousness in 8 days, not a single accused was arrested for assaulting me. I felt as if everyone was just waiting for me to die. That is a sad state of affairs at the law enforcement institutions in this country. Senior police officials and political leaders of the country have a duty to ensure that this is changed in the future.
News First has time and time again revealed details of countless incidents where sand was being smuggled from the Daduru Oya. However, these revelations seem to have fallen on deaf ears. Illegal sand mining was also identified as a burning issue in this area by the Gammadda door-to-door report. The Gammadda Pradeshiya Mandapaya program was also conducted in this area and was attended by the then subject minister Vijit Vijayamunisoiza. 7 years ago, the Supreme Court ordered for sand mining at the Daduru Oya to be stopped. Since the Supreme Court determination, sand mining at Daduru Oya was halted. However, according to the residents of the area, large-scale sand mining at the Daduru Oya began again 2 years ago. Destruction to the road network in the area is collateral damage of illegal sand mining. These images are proof of the dangers posed by the illegal activities to the banks of the Daduru Oya. Although this issue has been discussed at the Kobegane Pradeshiya Sabha meeting on a number of occasions, no concrete action has been taken to address it.
The members of the Pradeshiya Sabha brought this up at the meeting. The council decided that we need to stop the illegal sand mining taking place in the area. Since the illegal sand mining in the area didn't show any signs of slowing down, we wrote to the President, the Defence Secretary and all other responsible officials. We are waiting to see what action will be taken to address these issues.
When we toured Kobegane, Hathalava and Lenava during the past few days, it was abundantly clear that illegal sand mining in the area was a booming business. The people in the area affected by these sand smugglers are only left with two questions. Where are the officials and why are they silent? The Centre for Environmental Justice filed a writ application at the Court of Appeal against the revocation of Circular 5/2001 that dealt with provisions on the protection of other state forests and Circular 2/2006. The petitioners allege that the Secretary to the Ministry of Wildlife and Forest Conservation had revoked the circulars by issuing Circular MWFC/1/2020 without any authority under the Forest Conservation Ordinance or any other written law to issue such a circular. The Secretary to the Ministry of Wildlife and Forest Conservation, the Minister of Wildlife, the Conservator General of Forests, the Secretary to the Ministry of Environment and the Attorney General have been named as respondents in the petition. The petitioners point out that other state forests that were protected under Circular 5/2001 have now been placed under the purview of district or divisional secretaries. They add that Circular 5/2001 was specifically issued to prevent misusing other state forests or handing these lands over to various individuals at the whims and fancies of officials and causing irreparable destruction to flora and fauna. The petitioners point out that following the revocation of Circular 5/2001, many forest areas, including those in Pulbad the Mahawaya, Lahugala and Nilgala, have been occupied by various individuals. The Centre for Environmental Justice has requested the Court of Appeal to quash the revocation of Circular 5/2001 and compel the respondents to protect other state forests as provided for by the Forest Conservation Ordinance. The petitioner has also requested for an interim order suspending the operation of Circular MWFC/1/2020 that revoked Circular 5/2001.
Meanwhile, there are reports of mass-scale deforestation taking place within the Galvalaya Reserve in Pollebad, the village located in the Mahaoya Divisional Secretariat of the Ampara district. This area is an important forest reserve situated bordering the Rambukkanna Oya. The land, which consists of many natural resources, is being cleared by numerous organizations for various projects. It is under these circumstances that a group of people created an organization to put a stop to this forest destruction. A representative of this movement, Samantha Vidyaratna, expressed these views to the media today about the deforestation taking place there.
At present, the current government has handed over 5,426 acres to companies illegally. They have divided this land to 15 lots and has been handed over to 15 companies. According to the Forest Conservation Department, the land belongs to the department and it has been taken over without the approval of the department. The Forest Conservation Department took over this land several decades ago after chasing illegal Chena cultivators. What happened after that? They demarcated the borders. After that, plants were planted with the people's money. Now that reserves land is being handed over to companies. This is what the companies have done to the land.
This is how over 500 acres of forest land has been cleared using bulldozers by several of these companies. The Bintannapattu Protection Joint Front says that all this is taking place without informing the CEA or the Forest Conservation Department.
Vimalavira Disanayaka is a minister from Ampara, the one who threatened officials in Polonnaruwa. Now this is happening in his territory. We would like to know as to who approved this. Is it possible to hand over land that has been developed into a forest using public funds to a company? Have they obtained the approval of the Forest Conservation Department? No. According to the Environmental Act, if an area over 1 hectare is to be cleared using bulldozers, an environmental assessment license report should be compiled. There is no such report. Now, what is the environmental authority doing? When a villager cut a tree to make a handle for their mammothi or clear a little bit of land for a Chena cultivation, they go to courts against them. Where is the law against these companies?
State Minister of Wildlife Vimalavira Disanayaka says that he is representing the people of the country.
My name is the most talked about name these days. My name has made it to newspaper headlines as well. We are not parliamentarians or ministers if we do not take the side of the people. I have not earned anything in my life. I do not have a proper house to stay in. If this government does not engage in solving the problems of the people, there is no point in me being here. I would like to say that I am not afraid of the media, but if I cannot give answers to the plight of these people, this ministerial portfolio is useless to me.
On to one of our headline-making stories, a violent situation arose at the Mahara prison this evening. Now, according to police media spokesperson, attorney at law DIG Ajit Rohana, violence has broken out after a group of prisoners attempted to escape the prison. Adding further, the police media spokesperson said that a shootout has also taken place to control the situation. He added that a unit of police special task force has been deployed at the Mahara prison as well. We will now cross over to live footage from the location. You are now witnessing live footage from the Mahara prison where a group of prisoners attempted to escape earlier today. Now this is what DIG Ajit Rohana had to say with regard to the situation.
The prison officers of Mahara prison have used force in order to control an unrest situation happen in the Mahara prison this evening. According to the reports, one death has been reported, and in addition to that, 3 inmates have been injured in the incident, and the injured persons have been admitted to hospital. In addition to that, 4 police teams headed by SSP Kalani and OIC Ragama have been sent to Mahara prison in order to control the situation. In addition to that, special teams of special task force have been sent to Mahara prison area in order to provide the security in respect of outer perimeter of the prison.
Now we would like to cross over to footage that was recorded earlier in the day. We will keep you updated with the developments of this situation. Moving on to other local stories, the National Operations Centre for Prevention of COVID-19 outbreak announced the isolation of multiple areas in the Colombo and Gampaha districts will be lifted with effect from 5 a.m. tomorrow.
The isolation status of Mattakulia, Fosho and Peta police divisions in the Colombo district will be lifted at 5 a.m. tomorrow. However, the Rambia Uyana housing scheme and south of the Ferguson Road in the Matakulia police division will be placed under isolation from 5 a.m. tomorrow, according to the head of the National Operations Centre for the Prevention of the COVID-19 outbreak, Lieutenant General Shavendra Silva. The Laksanda Sevana housing scheme, the Salamulla Grama Seva division and the Vijayapura Grama Seva division in the Vallampatiya police division will also be placed under isolation. According to the Army Commander, the Modhara, Blue Mandal, Kotahena, Grand Pass, Wolfendal, Dam Street, Keselvatta, Maligavatta, Bematagoda and Maradana police divisions will remain isolated. The Vakanda Grama Seva division in the Slave Island police area and the Vanathamulla Grama Seva division belonging to the Barella police division will also remain isolated. The Army Commander further said the isolation status of Nigambu and Ragama in the Gampaha district will be lifted at 5 a.m. tomorrow. The Wattala, Paliagoda and Kalaniya police divisions will remain isolated. The Army Commander also confirmed that isolated areas in other districts will continue to be isolated until further notice.
Even though the isolation state of the Peta police area was lifted, permission won't be granted to operate as usual in the Manning Market, 4th and 5th cross streets. Even though certain areas of the Peta police division operated as usual before the isolation, it won't be allowed to operate tomorrow. Especially wholesale trade and vegetable sales won't be allowed. Other than this, activities at the main bus stations and private bus stations will be allowed.
Deputy Inspector General of Police said that the number of police officers being reported infected with COVID-19 has decreased.
We are happy to say that the number of police officers infected with COVID-19 is under control. Within 4 days, close to 30 COVID-19 cases have been reported. Yesterday, only 3 cases were reported. This was the day with the lowest number of cases from police quarantine centres. Accordingly, the police cluster is decreasing. We are able to get it under control.
496 people tested positive for COVID-19 today, while 346 patients were discharged after making a full recovery. The total COVID-19 cases in Sri Lanka rose to 23,484. 6,373 patients are receiving treatment at hospitals, while no COVID-19 related deaths have been reported so far for today. A total number of 17,002 COVID-19 patients have recovered.
2 COVID-19 deaths were reported in the country. A 76-year-old resident of Colombo 2 died of complications in high blood pressure and a kidney ailment triggered by COVID-19. According to the Government Information Department, the victim had already passed away when he was admitted to the Colombo National Hospital on the 26th of this month. A 98-year-old resident of Colombo 8 passed away at her residence on the 27th of November. The cause of her death was identified as pneumonia induced by COVID-19. The COVID-19 death toll in Sri Lanka rose to 109. 487 COVID-19 patients were identified yesterday. A majority of the cases were from the Colombo district. 78 patients from the Gampaha district, 15 from Kandy, 14 from Kurunegala and 14 patients from Ratnapura were identified yesterday. Meanwhile, all schools within the Damulla Education Division of the Matale district will be closed for 5 days starting tomorrow. Medical Officer of Health in Damulla, Sitar Vitanage, said the decision was reached with the identification of 3 COVID-19 positive patients from the Damulla Economic Centre. These patients were identified during random tests carried out around the Economic Centre. The number of COVID-19 patients connected to prisons has increased to 1,091 with the identification of 183 new patients. All the patients are inmates of the Mahara prison.
A number of road development projects under the government's planned infrastructure development program were initiated today. These projects were launched under the program to construct 100,000 kilometers of roads in the country.
The budget has allocated 20 billion rupees for the construction of 50,000 kilometers of rural roads under the 100,000 kilometer program covering almost all villages. The Minister of Highways Johnston Fernando and several other politicians initiated the project of constructing a road from Teresa Mawatha in Kandana to Rilaulla Road. State Minister Vidura Vikramanayaka launched the construction of a road from Dikhenpura Horana to Nartanagala, the construction of a road from Yaya 9 to Yaya 8 in Rajanganaya, and a road from Lolugas Junction to the banks of the Basawakulama tank was initiated by Minister of Lands S.M. Chandrasena. Chairman of the Nuwara District Development Coordinating Committee, Parliamentarian S.B. Dissanayaka, launched the construction of the Vijaypura Boralanda Road today. Gampa District Parliamentarian Kokila Gunawardhana launched the development project of the Kamalapitiya Road in Radhavadunna Gampaha. The project for the development of the cemetery road in Molligoda Vadua was launched by State Minister P.L. Nishanta. State Minister Sarath Nishanta initiated the project for the development of the Education Office Road in Pambala, Chilau.
Mike Tyson, better known as Iron Mike, returned to the ring after 15 years in an exhibition bout against Roy Jones Jr. last night. After 8 rounds, Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. both scored 76 points each, ending the fight in a draw.
Los Angeles, California, USA.
The event took place at the Staples Center in Los Angeles, California. Since the match had no ringside judges and no knockouts, an official winner was not announced. However, the match was scored unofficially. Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. stayed competitive throughout the bout, leaving viewers wanting to see more.
Hit him with the dart and then escape. I'm really impressed with Mike's Oh, right in the body. The dog father, hip-hop OG, Snoop Dogg, and look at this.
Tyson's return offers started coming when videos of him training at the age of 54 gained steam online. Roy Jones Jr., who is 51 years old, was a 4-time world champion and an undisputed light heavyweight champion, last fought in 2018.
You think you won the fight?
Yeah, but I'm good with a draw.
Why?
Because I entertained the crowd. The crowd was happy with it.
All right, we'll be back to you in a second. You happy with this draw?
Hell no, I ain't never satisfied with a draw. I wear draws. I don't do draws. I like it. But the dude is so strong, man.
This is bigger than fighting for, winning the championship. We're humanitarians. We're helping people. That's bigger.
Mike Tyson made history on the 22nd of November in 1986 at the age of 20 when he was crowned boxing's youngest heavyweight champion of the world. Tyson ruled the heavyweight division in an overwhelming fashion in the late 1980s, but struggled through the 1990s, losing his title, facing certain accusations, and serving a ban after his encounter with Evander Holyfield.
What happened here?
Tyson gradually straightened out his life, kicking a self-described drug addiction and eventually succeeding in acting, stage performance, and charity work. Mike Tyson, the baddest man on the planet, as called by boxing fans, last fought professionally in 2005 when he faced a loss to journeyman Kevin McBride.
And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of Primetime News. Thank you very much for joining us. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Arundhati Mudanayaka and our interpreter this evening, Taraka Gabriel, who joined us via Zoom. Good night.